Okay, so this is going to be an explanation for how to tackle and what I and your other teachers will often refer to as an A-type or a describe question. This is from the outline paper, which will be sat at the end of year 10 in the summer, and it's on the USA 1930 to 2000. So you'll be answering two different sets of questions on this. One will be on the race issue, the other will be on kind of foreign policy or wider world or the USA and world affairs. So we'll concentrate on the race issue for now then. So the question we're going to be looking at here is one that came up in the summer exam of 2014, and the question is describe the work of the NAACP, and that's going to be for 5 marks. So on these describe questions then, there are a number of things, kind of set rules that you've got to make sure that you do. If you're going to get all the 5 marks, there are certain specific things that you have to do that the examiners are looking for, kind of like a little set of rules for answering these questions. So for each describe question, we need to make sure that we give a clear description, that we offer some detailed information. When we say detailed information, that would mean names, dates, organisations, laws, anything that shows that you've got a good level of historical knowledge. We need to give some examples to illustrate what we're describing in the answer. And all of the points that we give have to be well explained. They can't be vague and general. They have to be well explained that show that we understand. We're not just kind of dishing out information hoping that it's right. So we're going to go on and look at 2 example answers here. One of them is okay, but it's lacking what's needed to get those full 5 marks. And then we'll look at another one which is much better, and maybe look at some of the differences and what kind of sets it apart, what's going to gain those 5 marks. So this is the first example answer. So let's zoom in and have a closer look. This is exactly how it will appear on the exam. This is a kind of a real life example. So a couple of things to note before we start. First is it kind of gives you a little introduction there that this section is going to be about the race issue. So altogether this little section will be worth 20 marks. And this particular question, the describe question, is worth 5 marks. So in effect it's kind of a quarter of that first section of marks there. So let's have a look what this answer involves then. So if we drag it up a little bit there. Okay, so we'll have a read through, pick out a couple of things that are okay with it, a couple of things that are wrong with it, and then we'll compare it with a much better example of an answer. So if we read through, the NAACP was a group that wanted to help black Americans. Okay, correct? Fine, yep. They took part in lots of campaigns and activities to make the lives of black Americans better. Again, absolutely correct, fine. Life for black Americans at this time was very hard, with segregation in schools, transport and hospitals, etc. One of the founders was W.E.B. Du Bois. They tried to stop groups like the KKK from killing and terrorizing black Americans. So everything that's been written here is correct. There's nothing that's incorrect about this at all. But there are a few problems with it. So we'll go through them in a little bit more detail. So I'm going to use the highlighter here just to highlight a few different parts that we need to pay attention to here. So first of all, we've got a missed opportunity here. So they've just kind of regurgitated what's been said in the question there. They've mentioned the NAACP, not actually shown that they know what those letters stand for, which is the National Association of Advancement, for the Advancement of Colour People, I should say. So they go on to say then that they were a group that wanted to help black Americans. They took part in lots of campaigns and activities. So again, we're kind of answering the question here, but in a kind of a vague, general way. And they aim to make the lives of black Americans better. Okay, absolutely fine. We start to run into problems in the next little bit here, where it says, life for black Americans at this time was very hard, with segregation in schools, transport, hospitals, etc. All that is correct, but it's not actually, if we look back at the question, it's not actually describing the work of the NAACP. It's not actually doing that. Okay, another good little bit here. We've got a bit of detailed information here. It talks about one of the founders, Du Bois, which again is absolutely correct. And again, it's going on to answer the question. So they're trying to stop groups like the KKK from killing and terrorising black Americans, which the NAACP did do. But it's all a little bit too general. There's very, very little detailed information there. In fact, there's maybe, just the one little bit there, which is the name of Du Bois, the founder. So altogether, I think we'd be looking with this, that's maybe, if we wanted to be very hard, we'd say two marks at a push, maybe 3 if the examiner's in a really good mood and they want to hand out 3 marks. But I think altogether, really, you're looking at maybe 2 marks for this, which would seem kind of harsh to a lot of people, because there's a bit of writing there, everything seems correct. But the real problems lie in the fact that it's not actually answered the question, and it's not given any detail, so it's not going to earn those 5 marks. So we'll go on to compare this then to a better example of an answer next then. Okay, so another example answer here, exactly the same question. First thing you'll notice, there's quite a bit more writing here. It's taken up all the lines that have been offered there on the exam paper. So if we have a closer look at this, and we'll see what's different and what kinds of things are in this that are going to gain those 5 marks. So to start off with, they've not made the mistake that the last answer did, and they've used the abbreviation there, the National Association for the Advancement of Coloured People, and actually they've shown that they know what that stands for. So that's good, very, very good start. Again, it's showing that you've got that level of detailed knowledge, that you're not just regurgitating what's written on the paper, that you know what this stands for, you know about this organisation. So let's have a look at some more details then. So another really good thing about this answer is it starts off by giving kind of an overall explanation about what the NAACP was about, and also takes the first opportunity to throw in a little bit of detailed knowledge there with the year. So what else does it do that's good? So this explanation here, they wanted to improve the lives of black Americans and achieve civil rights. They challenged segregation in the courts, and also organised and supported a variety of campaigns and activities. So it's a good overall kind of description, which is exactly what we're trying to do here, description of what the NAACP did. But it's going to go on to give a few examples and take the opportunity to use a bit of detailed knowledge. So if we look a little bit further down, so let's look at some of these examples then. So example 1 we've got here. So they published their own magazine. It's edited by founder W.E.B. Du Bois in 1934. So again, make note of the fact that this answer He's taking every opportunity to show that level of detailed knowledge, name, date. Okay, we'll go on. So, it goes on to state the next example. So, during World War One, they campaigned for black Americans to be commissioned as officers. By 1918, 600 black Americans had gained commissions. So again, making use of detailed information. World War One, 1918, number commissioned. So 2 examples, both of which already have included detailed information. So I'll get rid of some of this highlighting here. It's not. You can see what's going on. So that's 2 examples, detailed information in both. Both of them examples of what the NAACP did, not examples of why life was hard for black Americans. Okay, so let's have a look further down. So, next example, so it's 2 in the bag already. Next example then. The NAACP wanted to make black Americans more aware of their rights, especially the right to vote. So, again, it's maybe not detailed information in the sense that it's names and dates, but this, especially the right to vote here, is important. It was one of the areas in which they really concentrated on. So, get rid of some of that. Again, get rid of some of the highlighting so we can see what's next. Next example is they also campaigned against the film Birth of a Nation in 1915, which tried to glorify the KKK. Detailed information again. If we look at, you've got the name of the film, you've got the year in which it's released, and then the final example used is black lawyer Thurgood Marshall was employed to fight segregation in schools. He was able to secure equal pay for teachers in many states. And yet again, taking the opportunity here to use detailed knowledge. So the name, Thurgood Marshall. You know, it's not enough to say they used lawyers and they fought court cases. You know, you need to give specific examples of this. So, altogether then, if we get rid of most of the highlighting there, have a look back at the answer as a whole. So I'm not going to rub it all out because that'll take forever. You get the general gist. So if we zoom back out, so it's quite a bit more written there, and this answer has really tackled the question head on. They've described the work of the NAACP, but not in a vague way, in a very specific way that's taken the opportunity to use lots and lots of detailed information wherever possible. If anything, there's maybe a little bit too much there, and maybe it's kind of cheating on my part because I've written this answer, so as a history teacher you'd expect me to be able to do that. So you probably don't need as many examples. You could maybe lose 1, maybe 2 there and still have a good chance of getting the 5 marks, but you will have to do these things to make sure you gain those 5 marks. So altogether, which I'd be very shocked if I couldn't, being a history teacher, but this would almost certainly get 5 out of 5 here. So we apply the same rules for any described question. So we'll have a quick scan through the rules again and just review what we've done. So just to clarify and just to finish off then, so going back to the rules that we said for these described questions, the things that you have to do to make sure you're in with a shout of getting those full 5 marks. So we have, for each one, we've covered all bases. So we've got a clear description. If you remember the 5 out of 5 answer, it started off by describing generally what the NAACP did, what they were all about. So gaining civil rights, fighting in the courts through legal means, and as well as that, organising campaigns and taking part in various activities. It's then gone in to give lots of detailed information. You've taken all the opportunities to do that. It's been specific. It's given names of films, given dates, given names of people, statistics. Wherever possible, throw that detailed information in just to show that you've got that level of knowledge. There's a number of examples there of things that the NAACP did. It's not gone into anything else. The first answer went into talking about why life was hard for Black Americans. This has just stuck to examples of what the NAACP did, which is what the question was asking. And every time it made a point, it explained it well. It just didn't, it didn't just give the point. It went on to explain a little bit about it. So, in order to get a 5 out of 5, you need to remember these rules for describe questions. It doesn't matter what comes up, you follow the same formula, and that should be enough to get you 5 out of 5 every time.